you told us only through you could we know God, and if we dared to question, he wouldn't spare the rod. For you we worked the soil, for you we dug the moors, for you we shed our blood, fought so many pointless wars. Now you try to tell us there's nothing we can do. You say the world around us belongs fairly to the few, but about 6 billion people no doubt will agree this world is our home, not your property. It's the commons, our right of birth. And you who would enclose the land all around the earth, our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You who'd sacrifice the public good for your private gain. With our sweat we built the railroads, built cities on these shores, but because you own the money, you say that it's all yours. We laid the phone lines and the pipelines, and then right before our eyes they say these things our taxes paid for. You now will privatize. Privatize the hospitals, privatize the schools, privatize the prisons for all those who break your rules. And preparing for the day when all the wells run dry, you say you own the very rain that falls down from the sky, but it's the commons, our right of birth. And you would own the water all around the earth, our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You would sacrifice the public good for your private gain. You claim to own the harvest with your Terminator seeds. You claim to own the genomes of every animal that breeds. You claim to own our culture and the music that we play, and with each song that we download to your coffers we must pay. You would even own my name, and you'd say it's for the best. Maybe you'll let us on your radio if our songs can pass your test. You own country, you own western, you say you've given us a choice. You may own the airwaves, but you'll never own my voice. It's the commons, our right of birth. And you would own the music all around the earth, our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You would sacrifice the public good for your private gain. It's the commons, our right of birth. And you would own everything all around the earth, our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You would sacrifice the public good for your private gain.
So appropriate.
Well, one of the whether they privatize the schools or whether they're public, it always seems like there's a lot of truth that gets left out of the histories. And now, you know, you heard about Mitch Daniels in Indiana trying to get Howard Zinn's books banned from all the public schools there in Indiana. That's he taught him anyways. You taught him anyways. Oh, good. Yeah, good. And one of the things that they never talk about, unless you're using Zinn, is 1848, which was a year in many countries very significant. Of course, in Europe, every monarchy, with the exception of Britain and Russia, was overthrown within a few months. And you know, they don't want you to know, the powers that be, a lot of the folks in there don't want you to know the power that people can have. Here's a song about what happened after the people of New York refused to pay the rent for 9 years. Patrols came from Holland to America, became landlords where none had been before. Soon one man owned 500,000 acres on both sides of the Hudson River shore. He invited families to move in and give him 30% of everything they grew every year. This is how they pay the rent. His name was Rensselaer. He became one of the richest men on earth. In today's terms, $90 billion is how much he'd be worth. All this for doing nothing, but saying all this was his. I have the power of the state behind me, and I'm in the landlord biz. After 200 years of this, and one revolution won, another Rensselaer had another son, and this Rensselaer was greedier than his ancestors dead and past. It was the 1840s, and things were changing fast. It was the straw that broke the back. The bottle was uncorked. They started organizing meetings, the tenant farmers of New York. They found the strength of numbers. They found the power of suggestion. They found each other asking the same question. Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? They vowed they would stop the rent collection. They vowed they'd bring this madness to an end. And when one blew the tin horn of distress, he soon found he had 1,000 friends with calico skirts, masks upon their faces, on horseback, armed with knives and guns. They chanted and they yelled and they kept their farms. They kept the sheriffs on the run. They asked, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? The governor's militias tried to stop them, but nothing could be done to break their will. And by 1848, the landlords buckled, sold their holdings to the farmers in the hills. Yes, they overthrew this feudal system, but it's replaced now by speculators and banks. And you can still hear the homeless families asking of all the landed gentry in our ranks, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right? Well, I wrote a pedagogy of social change. I spend a lot of time in Europe, and I still don't know what pedagogy means, but I bet there's somebody here who does. And but I tried nonetheless to write a pedagogical song, and I'm not sure if I accomplished that because I'm not sure what pedagogical means, but I believe this is a pedagogy of social change in 3 minutes. First, you have to have a problem. That part isn't hard. The second step is everybody realizing they're like you. They're holding the same card. Step 3 is finding there's a tactic when everyone believes it could be true. Then if all the people work collectively, there just might be something we can do, and everything can change. So quick. Senators and businessmen and TV sets will try hard to make sure it isn't so. You don't have a problem. And if you do, it's not the same problem. And if it is, there's just nowhere you can go. But it's happened many times. The history is rich, though we easily forget how a meme can take hold and grab you, how it can spread out like a net, and everything can change so quick. They'll say we are lost or we're dreaming, or they'll make a dream for us. They'll try to come up with a good story about why we belong at the back of the bus, about why we belong in this position, about how we don't know what we've meant, about how there most certainly isn't any such thing as the 99%, but everything can change so quick. everything can change so quick.